Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. The week closed out fairly strong, and XRP actually surged a bit after the weekly close, which occurred at 7 p.m. Central Time. And now we have XRP sitting right at $3, and it's been slightly higher than that. I'll get into the specifics as we get into this very latest Moon Lambo hot jam, but I just got to tell you at the outset here, all of the analysts that I follow continue to be ridiculously bullish. The fact that XRP had this pullback, along with the rest of the market, by the way, is not an indicator that things are over and we're going to go into bear territory. That is not what is remotely probable here. In fact, there are a number of analysts, as I will highlight in this video, that are very confident that even in the short term, you could very well see a notable move to the upside. Regardless, this thing is so perfectly positioned. XRP has been showing tremendous strength ever since the election. And look, it consolidated for most of 2025, and then it had a huge surge. And as I highlighted throughout that time period, because it really did move sideways for close to half a year, as I highlighted consistently throughout that, the longer an asset consolidates, the greater the force with which it bursts when it finally does, and boy did we get that. I mean, XRP went from a little over $2 to $3.65, hitting a new all-time high again this year. It's not done. In fact, one of the XRP chart analysts that I came across said that $4 for XRP is loading. And I don't doubt that will, in fact, ultimately be the case. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this video, it's 11:09 p.m. Central Time, Sunday, August 3rd, 2025. As I stated, XRP is at $3. It did get a little higher than that. Got as high as $3.03 just, I guess just a few hours ago, it looks like here. So hopefully by the time you're watching this, it's even higher. I don't know. I will just tell you, even if it's lower by the time you're watching this, it's not going to matter in the end. It just simply will not matter. There, literally 0% of the analysts that I follow dispute what I just said there. None of them would. Even if it's lower in the short term. You just have to have a big picture mindset. But this thing is going to go. And the good news is, since we're at the later stages of this market cycle, and given that history is almost certainly going to rhyme with itself, you don't have to wait that long. You really don't. Think about how long XRP effectively has moved sideways for years in recent times. Literally years, because that's what happens after you get into a new bear market. There's consolidation. You're ranging somewhere literally for years. You don't. How long did we have to wait last time? Half a year after we had a huge surge, and then we got another big ass surge. And I'm telling you, it's only going to pick up pace here if history rhymes with itself, as I believe that it will. So you need to have patience investing. Yes, what I'm telling you is the good news is at the end of the cycle, you don't need as much patience, and that's where we are right now. So that's a pretty cool thing to recognize. Bitcoin is at $114,733, so it's not looking too shabby either. In fact, hours ago, as XRP was surging, it was at the exact same time Bitcoin broke above $115,000. Here's a post from chart analyst TechDev, and he shared this post with his 538,000 followers on X. He said, "Cup and handles, inverse head and shoulders," and this is Bitcoin, of course. He says, "Whatever you call them, the small one targets $150,000 and the big one $300,000. Now, this guy is so data-driven. He is, I think, one of the better analysts in the space. He is not wavering in his conviction here because it is not logical for him to waver in his conviction here. That's why. I'm telling you, folks, what analysts, including this guy, keep seeing in the charts continues to indicate much, much, much more exciting things ahead. So even if it's just on the lower end, $150,000, do you know what that means for altcoins? The amount of money flowing into the space, it will be buck wild. Nothing is broken here. Absolutely nothing is broken in the charts. And I know that because that's what every single chart analyst that I follow is saying right now. And I carefully select who I follow on a regular basis. It doesn't mean they're all perfect, and it doesn't mean that they get every single call right. But it is about probability of outcomes anyway, so you wouldn't expect that. But on the whole, damn, these guys have great track records, and they're all, that aspect of what we're talking about, they're all saying the same thing. That should mean something. To me, it does. Here's a post from chart analyst Mustache. This is the crypto total market cap, and he says, "Altcoins, one word, higher. If you don't understand it, take a look at the chart. I can't explain it any better." And he doesn't really need to. I mean, picture worth 1,000 words, as they say. Look at this. You can see where we are to the right, of course. This chart going back over a decade, so you can see the last 2 cycles. He's pointing out the similarities between what's happening right now, what happened last cycle, and the cycle before that. It's just unfolding again because, as I keep telling you, history really does just rhyme with itself. This is not, like, so we don't know for sure all the minute details, exactly everything's going to play out, but this isn't exactly rocket science. You don't need to be some sort of wizard to understand that roughly what has happened in the past is going to happen again and is currently unfolding that way. It just is. The good news is, for us XRP holders, we have a level playing field. The war on crypto is over in the United States, the largest capital market on the planet, so that benefits, so like my roughly half of my audience is outside the United States. That benefits you. You may not care about the United States specifically and what's happening here in terms of politics and so on and so forth, but it majorly impacts you because the United States, it just is the largest capital market on the planet, and the ramifications of the war on crypto being over, huge for all of you listening. And XRP thrives in an environment where the playing field's level. And now we actually have that for the first time in just about half a decade, ever since the lawsuit came, we actually have that now. And wouldn't you know it, XRP's thriving. Here's a post from X-Force Global. It's a Bitcoin price chart here. Bitcoin leads the way, so got to talk about it a little bit, even though I'm way more excited in altcoins just like the rest of you, specifically XRP. Bitcoin shorter time frame analysis, it's time to zoom in. Bitcoin is most likely, with high probability, gearing up for higher levels, with, of course, room for margin of error. And since I try to not get into the nitty-gritty in terms of technical analysis from analysts, I'm much more interested, frankly, in just getting a feel for, okay, the group of analysts I follow, on the whole, what do they think? Because if you have a bunch of talented individuals and they all tend to think about the same thing, they're almost always right. So I'm not going to go through and read the entire poster. It's on your screen if you want to pause and read it here. I'm more interested in getting a perspective from these analysts, like, what do they think is going to happen? And I do find like that is good enough for me. I'm way more interested in getting the bottom line from a ton of analysts than hearing from one analyst and getting into the nitty gritty. And I think most people are, honestly. I don't know why there aren't more YouTubers that are putting out videos like this. Like, I don't know of anybody else that is just collecting as many perspectives from a ton of different analysts and just slapping it down in one video and just sharing that as possible. Like, I don't know why nobody else is doing this, but to me, like, I don't know about you. Tell me in the comment section, like, isn't this useful? Like, to me, it's highly informative, highly useful. Because if you're like me and you got skin in the game, and I know you guys are, that's the bottom line is what matters, right? So let's just cut to the chase. Like, what is actually going on? What is most probable? What do they think? And to me, that's interesting. And it's fun when you've got skin in the game. Here's a post from Crypto Wizard. What we've got here on the screen is global M2. So we got global liquidity here. That's the blue line. And of course, it's sticking out ahead of these other charts here. The reason it's sticking ahead out into time that we have not yet gone into, this is showing closer to November, is because they've moved it forward so that it will correlate with the rest of the charts. Because as it turns out, Bitcoin and the rest of the asset class, it does follow global M2. There's about a 12-week lead time. So if you move it, you can see the correlation very easily. That's the reason that he and everyone else that shows this shifts it sideways. So that's the blue line, global M2. You got Bitcoin that's orange, Ethereum's in red, and the others chart is in purple. The others chart is the name for the chart that shows the top 125 coins by market cap, excluding the top 10 coins by market cap. So XRP is actually not in this, but honestly, it doesn't matter. The asset class moves in tandem. We know that XRP is going to rip these other coins to shreds. It already has been ever since the election, so I'm not exactly worried about that. So here's what he said. Can't you see it? It's simple. Follow the money. First goes Bitcoin, then goes ETH, then goes alts. M2 signals there's higher to go. Man up and get ready to get richer. Yes. Rubbing hands together sound for effect of greediness. I'm there, absolutely. 100%. And he is right. There's over a decade's worth of data actually showing that Bitcoin, and thus the entire crypto asset class, does follow M2. Directionally, it follows close to 90% of the time, according to Raoul Pal, founder of Real Vision and global macro investor, the former Goldman Sachs executive. And I've seen, I can't think who it is. There's another analyst that said maybe it's close to like 85%. We're splitting hairs. The point is, directionally, it's almost always doing the same thing. This is a key indicator right here, and it says higher. It says higher, period. It's coming. And there's so much confluence. Why wouldn't you expect that? Here's Crypto Wizard here. He says, and this is an Ethereum price chart. He says, weaker it gets. The more it taps, the weaker it gets. And what's he referencing here? resistance of $4,000. And you can see 6 points he's got mapped out. And he says, Ethereum has rejected the 4,000 zone 6 times, but it's getting weaker. When it breaks, not if, an explosive move to new all-time highs, it triggers. So it is coming, and he's saying this at a time when the market has pulled back. The conviction is unwavering. And don't forget, like, Ethereum has come off lows of about $1,400 when people were saying it was dead, and I insisted it wasn't dead because that was stupid to think it was dead. STOOPID, stupid. And here we are, and it surged back. It is not done. And every time one of these things gets tapped, one of these trend lines, you know it does get weaker. There are fewer and fewer people willing and interested in selling because they've already sold. And it does get weaker, and then it bursts through. And since we're in a bull market, I think that's going to happen. It's the same thing that we saw recently with Credible Crypto when he did his... he kept sharing his posts, and there are various updates along the way of the XRP BTC chart. And he was showing that Gandalf, you shall not pass, you know that, from the movie Dork Quest, aka Lord of the Rings. And there was, I think it was, if memory serves anyway, I think it had tapped a key resistance level 6 times. And leading up to that, I was even saying, I was like, the reason he shared this is because, you know, that line is getting weaker every time it gets tapped. Eventually it's going to break through. Now this matters because Ethereum, historically, leads alt season. So if this happens, XRP is going to come blazing after it. And don't be surprised when XRP starts battling for that number 2 spot in terms of market cap. Here's a post from Crypto Insight UK, and this is from this morning. He said, an XRP weekly close above $2.94 would be good, and above $3.04 would be great. Okay, so what did we get? He said $2.94, that'd be good. What did we get? We got $2.93. So that's a level that he was saying would be nice, but not quite there. Still, we've seen strength since the close. And so Cryptos was commenting on this. This is 5 minutes after the daily close. And Cryptos wrote, XRP daily closed right at resistance. Solid bounce from bulls, but still more work to be done. And so since then, some work's gotten done. Now, hopefully it's not looking like a train wreck by the time you're watching this. You never know for sure what's going to happen in the short term. But at least at the time I'm recording this, not too shabby. Here's a post from chart analyst Crypto Wizard, and he's talking about the XRP BTC pair. He says, XRP daily technical outlook. XRP closed strongly bullish as XRP BTC recovered quickly. However, one more healthy bullish daily candle in XRP BTC is necessary to call a complete reversal and push towards $3.65. Now, I gotta ask you, do you notice that he's not questioning if we're going to get to $3.65, the new all-time high? He's not questioning if we're going to get there again. He's just citing what he believes would make that way more probable. I'm telling you, folks, the analysts that I follow are not wavering in their conviction whatsoever. They are excited for what's about to happen, and so am I. Why the hell wouldn't I be? It's a virtual certainty this is moving forward. I don't know how to express with more precise words the degree to which I have confidence in this. And I think it's accurately placed. Here's an article from Cointelegraph. XRP eyes 20% surge in August. And let me scroll. They have a bunch of other stuff they're covering here too. Let me see if I can find the relevant portion here. Yeah, right here. XRP's bullish divergence raises 20% price rally potential in August. That's a subheading. XRP may be gearing up for a short-term rebound. Looking nice so far anyway, with signs pointing to a potential 20% price jump by the end of August. By the way, I'll pause and note there are a lot of analysts that think it's going to be way higher than that. There are so many analysts, and they could be right given how far we are into this market cycle, but there are so many analysts that are thinking, no, it's going to be like more $4, $5, $6, $7, $8. And I don't know if that's going to happen, in that time period. But this is a time where it does make sense to believe something like that can be possible. And yes, that type of movement can and has historically happened that quickly. Those types of big-ass moves, it feels impossible to some. Because, what are you talking about? We're at $3. You're saying it can go to $8 and within the next few weeks? Well, I don't know if it will, but that's the type of action absolutely that can unfold that quickly. The answer is yes to that part. I just don't know if it's going to happen that quickly. But yes, that's real. I've lived through so many instances with so many different coins where, yes, that type of thing happens. That is real life. And it's not like XRP is going to get treated different than the market, other than, if you want to say it gets treated different, the only way it gets treated different is with favoritism, because, and like I said, in this level playing field, more people actually find it appealing based on its actual attributes and utility. That's why it's been so wildly successful since inception, frankly. Anyway, piece reads as follows, though. XRP may be gearing up for a short-term rebound with signs pointing to a potential 20% price jump by the end of August. On its 4-hour candle chart, XRP shows a bullish divergence, a common signal often hinting at a potential trend reversal. In this case, XRP's price has been making lower lows, while the relative strength index, a momentum indicator, is making higher lows. Such a disconnect suggests that the recent selling pressure has been losing strength. I don't know about you folks, but to me that sounds directionally the way I want it to go. Here's a post from chart analyst Steph is Crypto. He simply said, XRP monthly breakout still in full force. And he posted that this morning, but that's a vote of confidence. XRP price was lower, obviously, in the morning than it is now. But that's a serious vote of confidence. What has happened to this point in the correction, the healthy retest? It's not changing anything. It obviously isn't, and he gets that. Here's a post from a chart analyst Crypto Pilot U, and I'm not familiar with this particular analyst, but he does seem to be quite popular with over 95,000 followers. And I just came across it in my newsfeed, and I like to find posts that are negative as well so that you can get the full array of opinion from chart analysts. I cannot find that. I mean, you can find some that in the very short term are a bit concerned that we could go down first. And I actually have highlighted as many of those perspectives as I could in recent days, as many as I could find. I can't find analysts who think big picture XRP screwed. I cannot find it. I absolutely can't find it. I'm not saying they don't exist. If you can find it, show me. I will highlight it on the channel here. But here, another analyst, even though I'm not familiar with the guy, it's just another example. He says XRP $4 loading. And this is all I can find, this sentiment. It's coming, folks. And he's talking sooner than later. It's just a matter of time. Here's a post from chart analyst Dark Defender. He says, the ones who only watch the markets in patience with no emotions, no stress, and without doing anything are winning. While XRP is on its way to all-time high. Much respect to you. Golf clap for that one. Hell yeah. That is exactly correct. And that is how I approach the market. I have literally no fear. I could not be more confident, right or wrong. That's how I'm just telling you honestly, I have that level of conviction. And I just don't think that big picture, useful technology like XRP just gets abandoned by the masses on a global scale. I just don't think that makes any damn sense. All up in this bitch. So that does mean that ultimately, if you hold however long you need to hold, because we don't choose when the market goes, you just win. Like that's been my approach since 2017 when I jumped into crypto. And it actually does just work. I've been doing it with XRP and every other coin I hold. And I think I'm finally going to cash out this cycle. I mean, if we really have this blow off top, which I fully anticipate, yeah, it's going to be time. It's going to be time. And then when we enter the bear market, everything will be on the cheap again, and I will buy and do it all over again, and we can hang out and make even more wealth. We can do it together, folks. I'm telling you, like, anybody can do this. It's so empowering. Regular people like you and I, because there's nothing special about me. I'm just a dude. I'm not special because I have a YouTube channel. I don't have a finance background. Just a dude finding success by buying crypto and then doing literally nothing for a long period of time. That's it. But isn't that empowering? Because you can do that too. I'm not. All of you can do it, and many of you listening are doing it and have been doing it for years. You just got to stick with it. You have to have serious fortitude emotionally to make it happen. But it's up to you. Like you have the option. Don't have a defeatist attitude like, oh, it can never happen for me. Shut up. Yes, it can. Absolutely, it can. Stop being a little bitch. I love you though. But seriously, like do not be a defeatist here. Yes, you listening to this 100% have the same options, opportunity as everybody else, including me, and you can just make it work. You just can. You can literally just decide you want to be rich, and then do the things you need to be rich, and then you're rich. Put in enough money, have a diverse crypto portfolio, not in crap coins. A bunch of large caps, that would be good. Mostly large caps, maybe some mid caps, barely any small caps, if any. And then you just wait a long time. That's it, folks. There you go. I don't have a course to sell you. I have nothing to sell you. That's the truth. And you're going to find most YouTubers, they not that all courses are bad if you actually want to try and be a trader, although I think that's a terrible idea for almost every human. Fine, but like so many people are trying to just pawn off these crap courses and stuff. I see so much of that. And they're just about their own personal interests. Like, I'm just being honest with you. I have literally nothing to sell you. Just hold. Like, you don't have to pay me for this. Like, I'm just telling you that is what works. It just does. And nobody wants to say that because they'd rather make money selling you something. And I'm not against people having sponsors and stuff. Maybe I'll do that one day. I've been running this channel since 2018. I've had no interest. That could change. I don't think I'm virtuous because I don't have sponsors. I don't think I'm virtuous for that reason. I just haven't cared. So I reserve the right to do that. I'm just telling you, I'm always the people that are pushing the courses though. I know that, and again, not that all the courses are bad if you're trying to do that thing. I know that the vast majority of people in crypto do not need a course. They need literally 0 courses. That is the truth. I don't know why more people won't just say the honest truth. You don't need a fucking course. You just don't. You just need exposure. You just need to wait. It is that simple. And again, I'm not even saying all the courses are bad. I'm not saying everybody with a course has bad intent. I'm not saying that. But I think a lot of them have selfish intent. I think a lot of them know that you'd be better off not buying their course and just having exposure and waiting. I do think that. And that's why I'm spreading the message. Nobody else is going to do it, apparently. Here's a post from eGreg Crypto. It says, XRP, this wick made many shit their pants. In the near future, you will be remembered as the person who panicked over a tiny wick on the 2-month time frame, all while we're forming the highest and most significant candle body structure in XRP history. Remember, glory is not meant for many, only few. Now, sadly, he is correct that last bit. Most are not going to win in crypto. It's the same in the stock market. Like, people screw themselves, the trading types. Like, you just quit tinkering with positions. Stop thinking that you're going to time things, but you're going to get in and out of positions. It's going to be perfect. You're going to have way more wealth because of it. No, you're not. Even if you have a string of successes, you're going to mess it up sometime, and then you're going to be behind on the whole. It's just not worth it. So he's right here. Do you really want to be the person, though, that's panicking over what's happening here in the short term? I sure as hell don't. I'll tell you that right now. Here's a post. Another one from eGreg Crypto. It says, XRP next short-term targets for bullish continuation, $3.03, $3.13, and $3.30. So we actually hit that first one. Kind of pushed back from it. But, who knows what it is by the time you're watching this. We're going to get there, though. There's a reason that it makes sense for him to have this level of conviction that, yeah, we're actually moving forward. Here's a post from X-Force Global, and this is from this afternoon. He's just highlighting here that XRP in the short term, he believes he's projecting it up to $7.20. That's right, $7.20 XRP in the short term. That does not sound wacky to me. It's safely supplanted in the realm of reality here. Here's a post from chart analyst Zoom. He says, remember when XRP was 50 cents? Oh, wait, that was only 8 months ago. Now, that's some perspective, so I thought I'd share it with you. Think about that. It's 8 months from 50 cents to where we are now, and there are people that are bearish after that huge run up. Are you kidding me? Some perspective is deeply needed for some people. And here's this from chart analyst Ali Martinez. This is actually literally the most negative thing I could find. Said the MVRV ratio flashed a death cross for XRP, suggesting a steeper correction could be underway. And he shared that at 4:19 p.m., so not that long ago. A little over, what was it, 6, almost coming up on 7 hours ago. And this is the most negative thing I could find. And at the moment, I'm recording again, at least what is by the time you're watching, XRP's actually just moved up. So we'll see, but that's pretty much it. I'm not seeing anyone else screaming anything even close to what Ali Martinez is saying here. So we'll see. XRP still is at $3 as I wrap up this video. You guys, let me know what you think. Like, are you excited? I sure as hell am. I can't wrap my brain around not being excited in this particular part of the cycle. Like, this is where the fun happens, folks. Like, the most fun. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.